Shabbat Shalom. This is Larry Mitchell with Friends of Israel. We are continuing our verse-by-verse study through the Apocalypse of Jesus Christ, the book of the Revelation. And this morning we are looking at Revelation chapter 7, 9 to 12. After these things I looked, and behold, a great multitude, which no one could number, of all nations, tribes, peoples, and tongues, standing before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes, with palm branches in their hands, and crying out with a loud voice, saying, Salvation belongs to our God who sits on the throne, and to the Lamb. All the angels stood around the throne, and the elders and the 4 living creatures, and fell on their faces before the throne and worshipped God, saying, Amen. Blessing and glory and wisdom, thanksgiving and honor and power and might be to our God forever and ever. Amen. Revelation 7:9 begins with these words, after these things. After what things? Well, after John had seen the vision of 144,000 Jewish evangelists called by God to fulfill their mission to take the gospel to the ends of the earth. The question arises, who are the true witnesses? Well, the true witnesses are described in the book of Isaiah. Isaiah 43 verse 10. You are my witnesses, says the Lord. And that word Lord is Jehovah or Yahweh. And my servant whom I have called, that you may know and believe me, and understand that I am he. Before me there was no God formed, nor shall there be after me. Isaiah identifies the real witnesses as being the children of Israel. Isaiah 43:1. But now thus says the Lord, who created you, O Jacob, he who formed you, O Israel, fear not, I have redeemed you. I have called you by your name, you are mine. The real witnesses were redeemed from Egypt. Isaiah 43:3. For I am the Lord your God, the Holy One of Israel, your Savior. I gave Egypt for your ransom, Ethiopian Sheba in your place. In the last days, the real witnesses will return to the promised land from the 4 corners of the earth. Isaiah 43, 5 and 6. Fear not, for I am with you. I will bring your descendants from the east and gather you from the west. I will say to the north, give them up, and to the south, do not keep them back. Bring my sons from afar, and my daughters from the ends of the earth. The real witnesses were carried away to Babylon. Isaiah 43:14. Thus says the Lord, your Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. For your sake I will send to Babylon and bring them all down as fugitives, the Chaldeans who rejoice in their ships. When I have pointed out that Isaiah seems to be referring to the children of Israel, several false witnesses have answered, when Isaiah wrote 43:10, the Lord was speaking to national Israel. But national Israel has been replaced by spiritual Israel. So I'll ask, is your organization spiritual Israel? And they will answer, yes. So I will ask them what the Hebrew word Israel means. They do not know. So I point out that Israel means he who strives against God. When false witnesses claim they are spiritual Israel, they are acknowledging that they are spiritually striving against God. I like to apply Romans 10, 1-3 to these false witnesses. Brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to God for spiritual Israel is that they might be saved. For I bear them record that they, spiritual Israel, have a zeal for God, but not according to knowledge. For they, spiritual Israel, being ignorant of God's righteousness, and seeking to establish their own righteousness, have not submitted to the righteousness of God. By claiming to be Israel, this one striving against God, you are acknowledging you need to be saved. You have a zeal, but not according to knowledge, and you are being ignorant of God's righteousness and are attempting in vain to establish your own righteousness. Now, Jesus warned that no one is able to see God's kingdom unless they are born again. John 3:3, most assuredly I say to you, unless one is born again, he cannot see the kingdom of God. And in John 3:7, Jesus said, do not marvel that I say to you, you must be born again. When I asked the false witnesses if they would like to obey the Bible and become born again, they will make a quick exit. The real 144,000 witnesses will be divinely protected by God. Revelation 7 verse 3 says, do not harm the earth, the sea, or the trees till we have sealed the servants of our God on their foreheads. And Luke 21:17 and 18, and you, he's talking about the 144,000 witnesses, will be hated by all for my name's sake, but not a hair on your head shall be lost. There is a great revival coming. It will not take place at the end of the church age. The Bible reveals that there will be a great falling away before the end of the church age. 2 Thessalonians 2 verse 3, let no one deceive you by any means, for that day will not come unless the falling away comes first, and the man of sin is revealed, the son of perdition. The 144,000 Jewish evangelists will preach the gospel to the ends of the earth, and a great multitude will be saved. They will accomplish in 7 years what the church has failed to do in 2,000 years. They will preach the gospel to the ends of the earth. Matthew 24:14. And this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in all the world as a witness to all nations, and then the end will come. Revelation 7:14, and he said to me, these are the ones who came out of the great tribulation and washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. In Revelation 7:9, after these things I looked, and behold, a great multitude, which no one could number, of all nations, tribes, peoples, and tongues, standing before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes, with palm branches in their hands. Application. We can take comfort knowing that many who are left behind can still be saved, but there is a word of warning. It will be impossible for those who embrace the lie of Satan to be saved during the tribulation period. 2 Thessalonians 2, 7-12. For the mystery of lawlessness is already at work. Only he who now restrains will do so until he is taken out of the way. And then the lawless one will be revealed, whom the Lord will consume with the breath of his mouth and destroy with the brightness of his coming. The coming of the lawless one is according to the working of Satan, with all power, signs, and lying wonders, and with all unrighteous deception among those who perish, because they did not receive the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this reason God will send them strong delusion, that they should believe the lie, that they may all be condemned who did not believe the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. Those who have been left behind and believe the lie of Satan, which is recorded in the book of Genesis, you shall not die, but you shall be as gods. If you enter the tribulation period believing that, it'll be impossible to be saved after the rapture. This is Larry Mitchell. Shabbat Shalom.